Hey everyone, I hope that you've enjoyed the videos over the past couple of days. Hopefully, I can continue to do those going forward. My heart and my desire for doing that is really twofold. One, I hope that we can all be encouraged and lifted up by the videos and the stories that I'm sharing and some of the scripture that I'm sharing with you guys. And the second purpose is to challenge you, to challenge me, to challenge each other together, that our lifestyles will become more like Christ and to live as Christ has called us to live. So, again, I hope that these videos encourage you and challenge you, and please respond back to me. Let me know if you've gotten anything out of this. Please share them with your friends. And again, the ultimate goal is to glorify Christ and let our lives do that. 1 Thessalonians 5:11 says, "Encourage one another and build each other up." Hebrews 3:13 says that we are to encourage each other every day so that we are not hardened by the deceitfulness of our sin. So again, I think encouragement and this challenge is or has many benefits. So that's why I do these videos, and again, hopefully you get something out of them. To set the stage or the backdrop for going forward, I kind of wanted to share a little story or actually one verse with you guys today that it's one of those verses that's really so small, and we think it's so insignificant that we kind of just read over it and not really think about what we're reading. And it comes from Exodus. It's in the middle of this dialogue between Moses and God, as God is calling Moses out of the wilderness to go and lead the Israelites out of captivity. Of course, Moses' response is just like our response and many of the other responses we read in Scripture. God, I'm not adequate. I'm the wrong person. You've got the wrong person for this job. I can't do this. I'm not equipped to do this, and I don't know how to do this. And God says, "No, I created you. I'm pretty sure I have the right person. I'm pretty sure I know who it is I'm calling." And again, it's one of these verses that it seems really insignificant, but I kind of want to bring a little bit more flavor to the verse and show you the kind of the weight that this verse has, and hopefully again this will encourage you to think about all of the times God has been faithful in your life. The verse is found in Exodus chapter 4, and it's verse 2, and it says this: "Then the Lord said to Moses, 'What is that in your hand?' And Moses replied, 'A staff.'" Now we know that going forward, actually in the very next verse, God says, throw the staff down, it becomes a serpent, and God does all these miracles through the use of the staff. But that verse, the verse I just read, has some significance in itself. We have heard of the idea of quote unquote notches in a belt. Indians, when they went to war, they often took some kind of memento from that war, whether it was a scalp or if they killed an animal, it was a claw that would remind them of that kill. Unfortunately, we know that not to be too graphic, but sexual predators today will often take a memento of their prey to remind them of that instance. And so again, it goes back to this idea of notches in our belt. Well, this is the same concept that's going on here. You see, back then, shepherds would put notches in their staff. These notches would signify some type of significant event. Maybe it was a time of God's faithfulness. Maybe it was a time of them killing an animal, a lion or a bear, protecting their flock. Maybe it was something significant in their life, like the birth of a child, marriage, something like that. But the cool thing is that you could go up to a shepherd, look on their staff, and point out a notch on that staff, and they could tell you when, where, what happened. They could tell you all the significant details of that notch. Well, when God tells Moses, hey, what's that in your hand? What God is initially inviting Moses to do is, wait a minute, Moses. Remember all the times I've been faithful to you. Look at all the notches on your staff. Look at all the times that, even though you may not have thought I was there, look at all the times I've been with you. Look at all the great things I have done in your life. And when Moses says, hey, it's my staff, we kind of get the picture or the understanding that when Moses looks at that staff, he immediately remembers. And even after that, God still goes forward and says, all right, now let me show you some other cool things I'm going to do on that staff. Let me give you some more notches. Let me show you some more instances of my faithfulness. Many of us keep a prayer journal. It's the same concept. We look at our prayer journal and we can look back and look at all the times that God has answered our prayers. Well, this staff here is, for lack of a better example, this staff is Moses' prayer journal. So I want to encourage you, think about all the times that God has been faithful in your life. List them out. And think, man, I need to constantly remember how God has answered my prayers, how God has come through, how when I thought there was no other way, that I was so down, so depressed, life was just caving in on me, that God came in and lifted me up. We need those staves in our life. We need those prayer journals. We need those times to remind us of God's faithfulness. And so I encourage you today, just think about all those times that God has been faithful in your life. Praise Him for it. Worship Him for it. Go out and share some of those instances with other people around you who may be hurting, who may need that encouragement, who may need that reminder of God's faithfulness. If we were to think about it, it definitely wouldn't, our list definitely wouldn't be short. We probably wouldn't have enough pages or enough time to recount all of God's ways He's been faithful. That's what I hope to do with these videos, is to kind of remind me, remind you, and share some stories with you of how God has been faithful in my own life. I would encourage you to create your own videos and share those stories with others.